you fall. Watch you lose in control. I'm seeing red. Watch you rise, watch you fall. Now I'm about to break. Face the pain, no escape. Can you step to this? Face the pain, no escape. Can you step to this? Face the pain. Face the pain, no escape. Can you step to this?
What's going on, fight fans? Welcome to another episode of the Fixed Fights podcast with Kurt and Ben. As always, I'm Kurt. I'm here with my main man, Ben. Ben, how you doing this week, dude?
I'm doing pretty good, man. The sun is shining. It's warm out here in Kansas City. It's nice. My dogs are asleep. MMA all over the place. Fantastic boxing to talk about. I'm doing pretty good.
Yeah, same here, man. Starting to get a little fall feels up here in Connecticut. It's been kind of hot, but man, fall is my favorite season. Do you guys get a decent fall out there in Kansas City?
Oh yeah. No, I would say where I live, it has like 4 distinct seasons, including a fall with maybe I'll get a fucking pumpkin spice latte next week. I don't hate those. We get like the leaves change, everything, all the good stuff, I guess.
Yeah, Halloween, fall, big up here in Connecticut. If there's one thing I can't say good about Connecticut is definitely the fall season. But sometimes though they do kind of rush it. Like they'll be doing pumpkin spice like mid-September, and then they'll try to rush Thanksgiving and forget about Halloween. We got to take everything one step at a time. Pumpkin spice when October starts. Let's get through Halloween and then worry about Thanksgiving and Christmas.
I actually like that. And I was gonna say, man, like where you live, you have actually like leaf peepers, people that peep the leaf.
Oh,
people that
absolutely.
Just like that's a real thing where you live. So I feel like you guys being into fall is a little bit more legit because people go literally just to see trees in that part of the country. It's fucking crazy.
It's beautiful out here. When I lived in Florida, the one thing I missed about the Northeast was the fall. Other than that, give me all that Florida sun.
Yeah, I feel you.
Let's talk about some combat sports, though. I was going to say MMA, but obviously I think we got to start the show with the biggest storyline of the weekend, and that was the amazing, amazing boxing match between Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury. I got to say, dude, I think we've talked about this before on the show, but there really is nothing like a big heavyweight boxing fight. Still, obviously, I used to be a huge boxing fan. Not that I'm not a boxing fan anymore, but I just don't follow it like I used to. I'm obviously into pretty much watching any and all MMA, but man, all the great MMA fights we've seen, we've lived through, we've experienced, I still got to say there's nothing like a big heavyweight boxing fight that delivers, because this thing had it all, right? It had the build up, it had the big fight feel, the fight delivered. I was blown away. Got to give props to both these guys.
Yeah, and I think I'm with you. Like we're a broken record on this podcast that like nothing really beats like ultimate 12-round championship level boxing when it's good. This is like this showed exactly why, like the real ebbs and flows of the fight, the story that these guys were kind of able to tell over a longer fight than a 25-minute MMA fight. Especially because I feel like a lot of times I don't mind kind of boxing matches starting a little bit slower because those guys are experts at their craft and they're like getting into their reads. So a lot of times in high level boxing, you kind of have to be like, all right, first 2-3 rounds, we're not going to see a ton of action. But here, Deontay Wilder came out like aggressive as hell, throwing jabs and straight rights to Tyson Fury's body, like kind of showing us, oh God, this is going to be a totally different fight than their second fight. And then obviously it went from there with, was it the 3rd round that Fury got a pair of knockdowns?
Yep,
and then Wilder knocked him down in like the 7th, maybe? I can't recall.
No, I think it was the 5th. I think it was the 5th that Wilder got the 2 knockdowns.
That sounds right. But like either way, like the point is that this fight had so many like ups and downs. And even in the, like for sure, like the 9th, 10th, 11th round, and obviously the 11th round, Wilder was fading big. But up until Wilder was knocked out, I thought he's still in this fight. Like at any moment, this fight could change drastically, which not only shows like, I mean, that's kind of something that MMA brings to the table that boxing often doesn't, is like, oh, it could happen at any time. But with Deontay Wilder in the ring, it can happen at any fucking time. So like, I don't know. I watched it. I was at a wedding that night, so I didn't watch it live. So, but even knowing the result and knowing that everybody said this fight is crazy, this is one of the best heavyweight fights ever, even knowing that, I was still like on the edge of my freaking seat watching it on replay. So, man, I cannot recommend enough that people watch it in its entirety. Highlights don't do it justice. You have to see kind of what these guys went through. Not to keep going on and on about it, but also like, I think Deontay Wilder, even in defeat, kind of redeemed himself a lot here. He showed like a truly amazing amount of heart. I thought, you know, he's clearly not as good as Tyson Fury, but no shame in that. And I think both these guys kind of elevated themselves.
Yeah, I think Deontay Wilder just ran into the one heavyweight on this planet that can take his best shot and get up off the canvas. You know, Deontay Wilder is 42-0 going into the first Tyson Fury fight. And I just love Tyson Fury. He's just such a good, like, he's a good story, right? Like, he's an interesting dude. He has overcome a lot to get back to where he is. I mean, there was one point where he was like, what, 350 pounds, just like drinking a ton of beer and not living a good life. And, you know, to now have this 3-fight streak with Deontay Wilder and you know, with Deontay Wilder, again, like you said, he played his part in here. He stayed dangerous till the end. Didn't like how he handled defeat in the second fight, but look, I mean, he got his wish in this fight, right? He went out on his shield, and like you said, even though he was dropped a bunch, it looked like he was tired, it looked like he was fading. He was dangerous all the way until the end. Not much you can ask for in a big heavyweight boxing fight. And boxing really needed this, right? I guess we can talk a little bit about what is going to happen next for these guys, because it's not that clear. I know Anthony Joshua just invoked his rematch clause with Alexander Usyk, so it's going to look like they're going to run that back. The mandatory for Tyson Fury is actually Dillian White, who is a big puncher. That could be a good fight. Do you have any thoughts about who's next for either of these guys, or what you'd like to see?
I mean, I'd have to. Boxing is this is the part that's confusing to me.
Right.
Did who just fought Dillian White? Was it Usyk? I can't recall. I mean, if this were like the UFC and you could just match make them however you wanted, I think obviously I want to see Usyk against Fury next. But that's not going to happen. It sounds like Usyk. I mean, whatever. An Usyk Joshua rematch is still going to be big. The thing is, with these like mega heavyweight fights, like they only need to fight once, maybe twice a year, and they're going to have my attention no matter what. So whatever. I mean, I don't know when Usyk and Joshua are targeted for, but I think if Usyk wins a rematch with Joshua, then like that Usyk Fury fight is the one to make, obviously, which would be crazy because
I think
Fury
it'd be
was
such an interesting fight.
Yeah, the size difference is bananas. Like Fury was 270 some pounds in this fight, and Usyk is like 225 maybe and short. Like,
yeah, I was gonna say he's not
bananas.
that tall. Tyson Fury is what, 6'9"? Yeah, 277. Yeah, it'd be interesting, but again, like heavyweight is at a really good point right now with all these guys. I will say though, hot take, I don't think Deontay Wilder ever fights again, and that's not because like. I'm not saying like he shouldn't fight or whatever, but I think a lot of the big fights are just not there right now. You know, I don't think there's a lot of interest in the fourth Tyson Fury fight. Anthony Joshua has lost twice now. Usyk is marred in that, and maybe the winner fighting Tyson Fury. I don't know, but this is a really good generation right now for heavyweight boxing, or not even generation, a good time for heavyweight boxing, because we've seen a lot of ups in heavyweight boxing, but we've also seen a lot of low points throughout the years, and this is definitely a high point.
Yeah, if you're like a boxing fan, this has got to make you happy, because I feel like the only context in which we've been talking about boxing for the past couple of months is like the Paul brothers, Ben Askren, you know, like these kind of, and we're constantly questioning, like, is this good for boxing? Is this bad for boxing? I think this fight shows us that none of that shit really matters. Like, it's not good or bad for boxing. It just is, because what's good for boxing is like good boxing.
Absolutely.
There's no reason to believe that we can't have 2 or 3 fights like this next year as well in boxing. Not heavyweight, like probably one mega heavyweight fight. Have Canelo fight a relevant fight again next year. And like, I don't know, boxing is so big when those big fights happen that you don't need, it's not like the UFC where they're pumping out content. I mean, there are boxing cards every single week, I'm sure. But like, I just need those high points in boxing to keep me captivated, basically.
Yeah. We get them. Sometimes it is definitely too far in between getting them, right?
Yeah.
All right, let's jump over to the UFC side of things. We were kind of talking a little bit before we hit record. We're in that stretch where we're getting a lot of, I don't want to say like dud cards, but just cards with not a lot of big names. Kind of like the card this past weekend and the card coming up, but they do produce very good fights, a la the main event. Marina Rodriguez going out there defeating Mackenzie Dern via unanimous decision. She had to weather hell in that second round of the fight. I thought it was a pretty damn interesting fight. Through and through, I think Marina Rodriguez deserved the decision, and I am personally pretty high on Marina Rodriguez in that division. I think she has a very fun style. I think she proved that she can survive on the ground if it does get there, but on the feet, she is super, super potent.
Yeah, I was very impressed. I think there's a couple different kind of ways we could go here, but if we're looking at Marina Rodriguez, I think the biggest takeaway is like, I think she showed, first of all, she's like a championship level fighter. I think she fought a good 5-round fight. Even knowing it was that second round when she knew, all right, like this is a 5-round fight. I don't need to expose myself. I don't need to go crazy when I'm on the ground here. I was super, super impressed. And yeah, in a division filled with like really good strikers, Rodriguez is up there. I mean, I would love to see her in any sort of stand-up battle with Jędrzejczyk, obviously, Rose,
that's it,
Weili,
right
any of them. Yeah, I think Jędrzejczyk is the fight, right? That's got to be the one we want to see.
It's got to be the fight, and I agree with you. But I think Carla Esparza probably deserved the nod for the next title fight. Obviously, they went with Rose and Weili, and who knows what happens, right? And let's say Weili wins, they can go the third Weili fight. Carla Esparza is the only woman in the UFC to defeat Marina Rodriguez. But, dude, Jędrzejczyk needs a fight. She needs a big win to obviously get back into that title picture. It's got to be Joanna versus Marina Rodriguez. Throw that fight night main event. Give me 5 rounds of that. That would be high-speed chess, man. That would be insane. Insanely competitive on the feet.
Yeah, high-speed chess is perfect because it's like, and I think it'd be a banger, like a classic strawweight banger where it's like, for sure, they're not probably going to one-punch KO each other. I mean, Rodriguez could. She's shown that ability before, but like, I think we're going to see that would be, I think, both women attacking a lot, finding success a lot for like 25 minutes or almost 25 minutes. Whereas like if Rodriguez fought Carla Esparza, for sure, that's a compelling and an interesting fight to me, but it's not like, it doesn't get the blood going like Jędrzejczyk against Rodriguez, and then, yeah, like for sure make that woman the next number 1 contender for strawweight. Even if the UFC wants to do a trilogy fight with Rose and Zhang Weili, they got time to figure that out. Like, I think Rodriguez is against Jędrzejczyk is like one of the more exciting fights that could be made right now in any division.
Yeah, dude, if they book that fight right now, my juices would be boiling. Now the Mackenzie Dern side, I think it just comes down to, she has obviously one of the best ground games, if not the best ground game in women's MMA. Her striking is improved, but it's that blend. It's the wrestling. Her wrestling is just still not there. We saw her get Marina Rodriguez down in the second round, but other than that, it was a lot of lunging clinch attempts. So yeah, it's just that bridge between the striking and the grappling that is still not there. She's still young, still has a bright future. I don't think this loss knocks her down too far, but at least right now, I think it's evident that she's not yet there at the top of the strawweight division.
Yeah, and I think you kind of hit the nail on the head. A lot of people are talking about Mackenzie Dern needs to improve her striking, yada, yada, yada. For sure, she does, and I think she is. But I think what she really needs is just better takedowns, like better wrestling. You saw it here a lot of, like you said, lunging and clinching. And then even when she's in the clinch, it's like, she should have spent the entire camp learning how to chain wrestle and like put together techniques. And you would see her in these like really awkward clinches against the cage. Like, obviously when it's on the mat, wizard, she knows what she's doing and is in complete control, but getting it there, she's just not comfortable with. And, she had Jason Perillo and her dad in her corner, which kind of shows me too, like, I would love to see a wrestling coach in that corner, somebody who is like working with her specifically just on her wrestling, specifically just on her takedowns. Because if she could have even got the fight to the mat just one more time, right, I think she maybe could have submitted Rodriguez or TKO'd her from mount. She was getting in that mount position where, with like a bicep trapped, so just basically unblocked ground strikes. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what her camp looks like. Maybe she is working on her wrestling, but I think it's like, I think there's everybody's talking about, oh, her striking needs to get better. Like, that'll come, right? And I think it is.
Her striking doesn't look that bad.
Well, she's effective. It looks kind of bad, I think, but she's effective. She can crack, and she's obviously like, she was following Perillo's commands. Like when he was like, all right, we're getting hit moving backwards, so now we're just going to move forward and get hit anyway. She was still doing that. Like, she takes instruction well. I think she's obviously super athletic, but the technical side of getting the fight to the mat, I feel like, is where she's lacking. And, get a fucking wrestling coach. So there's plenty of them out there that can help her with that.
Yeah, and I think, again, that's the biggest thing she needs, because I guess, like we said, it may not look pretty, but the striking is effective. The grappling is obviously there, but that bridge, she's got to work on it. But again, she's young. She will get better. I am not ready to write Mackenzie Dern off.
Same.
So give me one fighter from the rest of this card that you are high on that impressed you, because we can jump around. There was no other real big fights on this card.
I like the Maria. I feel like they say it different ways. I always said it Agapova.
That's how I feel like as well. Yeah.
Sometimes they say it differently.
I try to get a little too cute sometimes with their pronunciations.
I'm just gonna call her Maria. I think she had that big fight like in like her debut, and then people made her like the next big thing, and she obviously wasn't. I think this is why we should be kind of rightfully reasonably hyped on Maria Agapova. Really incredible striking, tons of swagger. And I love seeing a late finish, like when she didn't really need to. She was coasting a little bit against Sabina Mazo and just, put it on her late in the third round. So I think I'm not completely on the Maria Agapova train, but I think we shouldn't completely hop off either.
Yeah, I agree with you. I kind of jumped the gun a little bit on her, but taking a step back, it's obviously proving to be good. I think this might be like a forgotten finish when we're talking about end of the year awards, right? But like, dude, this finish was fucking beautiful. The combination that sent Sabina Mazo to the mat, and then she just beautifully jumped on a locked-in rear naked choke to get the finish, like, that was a thing of beauty. Again, like, it might not be there at the end of the year awards, but man, that was nice. I'm going to shout out Alexander Romanov. He looked, I mean, the guy is just a machine. Blubbery boy, right? But man, that guy can wrestle, and when he gets on top, he is a world of trouble. He's got good cardio. Proved in this fight he's got a good chin, because Jared Vandera hit him with a couple big shots, but what is this, his fourth win in a row in the UFC? Mm-hmm. I think he's ready for a big step up. Let me pull up the rankings really quick. I do think he deserves a guy with a number next to his name.
And there's plenty of potential. I mean, 15, Sergey Pavlovich, Sergey Spivak, Blagoy Ivanov, Walt Harris. I'd like to see Walt Harris get an easy fight, but any of those first three names that I gave, I feel like they might be booked. I don't know off the top of my head, but any one of those guys. A veteran like Blagoy Ivanov, I think, would be a great test for him.
Like, let me ask you this. There's two guys, obviously, that are ascending the heavyweight ranks that everyone is very high on. Tom Aspinall, Chris Daukaus. I would personally put Romanov in that category. Like, I'm very, very high on him. I think he can beat a lot of these guys.
Yeah. No, I think especially with his wrestling, even I'm not trying to Chris Daukaus at 7. I mean, I know he's on a little run here, but I might even pick
Daukaus
Romanov
has that
against him.
fight against Derek Lewis coming up.
So he has a big opportunity coming
I would
up. But
absolutely pick Romanov over Chris Daukaus right now.
Because
Not
just
sure
on
about
the
Aspinall.
style. Yeah.
But
Aspinall is like way speed.
Aspinall's good, man. He's
Yeah.
nasty. I mean,
But I think with Romanov's wrestling, like that's such a difference. Like, what am I trying to say? If I'm a bantamweight and I have world-class wrestling, that's obviously worth a ton. But bantamweights can get back to their feet way easier.
Exactly.
Heavyweight, if Alexander Romanov is like on top of you, most heavyweights, they're there. Like that's it. They're not getting back up to their feet. So I think a guy with that kind of top control is like dangerous no matter what in heavyweight MMA. It doesn't matter where the rest of his game is as much.
I like the call with Blagoy Ivanov. I think that would be a really solid test for Romanov.
Yeah, for sure.
Anybody else on this card you want to shout out before we move on?
I think that's it for me.
Yeah, it's props to Charles Rosa and Damon Jackson for throwing down on the prelim card. That cut with that crazy spinning elbow that Charles Rosa hit, man. That reminded me of like the old school Sean Sherk versus Kenny Florian fight. Like, remember how much blood was in that fight? Like, that was a serious cut.
Man, I can't remember who said it on Twitter. I'm sorry, I'm not giving this person credit, but like, isn't it kind of crazy that doctors can only call off fights if the bleeding is impairing their vision? Instead of like, this person lost like a pint and a half of fucking blood. Like at what point can you call a fight and just be like, nope, they've lost too much blood. This is too much. Because I feel like it was getting there with that fight.
You know what? That's a good. I was kind of talking to one of my buddies too. Like, I wonder if we're ever gonna get to a point. Like, we were watching this fight. Like, is a fighter ever gonna like pass out from blood loss? Because like that was an insane amount.
Yeah.
Like, he wasn't just leaking blood. Like, he was pouring blood for a good like 5 minutes.
Well, dude. Have you ever given blood, like donated blood?
Yeah, you do not feel good.
Yeah, they help you up and give you a fucking cookie and orange juice. Like, and this guy's still in a fist fight. I don't know, man.
Crazy.
I feel like it's weird that nobody talks about that, but whatever.
I don't know. All right, let's move on. This coming weekend, we do have a last-minute replacement. Aspen Ladd stepping in to fight Norma Dumont after Holly Holm had to pull out of the fight. Aspen Ladd had that scary weigh-in a couple weeks ago that, she blamed on women-related problems. But she's getting right back in there. I think, I don't know. It's kind of crazy to me. Like, she just had a scary weigh-in where she missed weight, and now she's already back in the main event. I like the fight with Norma Dumont, just like I like the fight with Macy Chiasson. I'm still pretty high on Aspen Ladd. I think she's right on the cusp of. I think this fight, whether it was Macy Chiasson or Norma Dumont, is going to give us a lot of answers as to whether Aspen Ladd is a contender or she's not a contender.
Well, if she's fighting at featherweight, she's a contender because there's only like 3.
Wait, is this a featherweight fight?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it's at 45. I feel like that's the only reason why they let Ladd take it.
Oh, but I didn't even pay attention to that. Okay.
Even then, though, like. It's still weird to like not reward her, but kind of reward her. She bungled a weight cut, whatever reason it may be. She fucked up a weight cut. And then now, like, yeah, maybe they wanted her eventually to move up to 145, but it feels weird that like, all right, so a week later, now you get like, a main event spot. So they must be. I mean, that tells me the UFC like really likes Aspen Ladd, and I'm with you that like this is a bit of a make or break, and it's good for her that it's 5 rounds. We'll get to see if she can fight for 5 full rounds. But man, I don't want to shit on this fight too much, but what the fuck are we doing with? It was just such one of the odder matchmaking calls. I didn't love the Holly Holm fight to begin with, but. Here we are, Aspen Ladd against Norma Dumont for 5 rounds.
Then give it a week, because after that we got Paulo Costa, Vittori, followed by the 2 insane pay-per-views. So again, we need these. I guess we need these lulls. There's so many fights on the roster. I'm gonna stay positive. I'm pretty hyped on Norma Dumont. I think she's a solid fighter, and I really do want to see if Aspen Ladd is of that shit if she is a contender. So I'm relatively psyched for it. Andrei Arlovsky in the co-main event taking on Carlos Felipe. We've praised Arlovsky a bunch on this podcast. I mean, the guy, 42 years old, been fighting since like the 80s, it feels like, and he's still doing the thing. He's on it. He won his last fight. Again, he's kind of hard to read at this point. Like, dude, he's taking on Carlos Felipe, who's 26 years old, on a 3-fight win streak, although over Jake Collier and the likes. Man, props to Arlovsky regardless.
Wait, this is something you talk about a lot. And Arlovsky is like not one of those veterans who is like still being like relevant fight. He's just fighting whoever.
He's fighting whoever, yeah.
But also, man, the UFC couldn't have been a little bit more respectful to a former champion here. Like, yeah, Carlos Felipe, those 3 wins, not against the best competition, but they can't just give Andrei Arlovsky Chase Sherman fight after Chase Sherman fight after Chase Sherman fight. Like, give him.
Well, dude, he wins these fights sometimes. Like, look at Andrei Arlovsky's record, dude. It's like, okay, he beat Chase Sherman in his last fight. He beat Tanner Boser, who had a little bit of thing. He beat Felipe Lins, who, was doing his thing over there in PFL for a minute. He beat Ben Rothwell. Then he had like the 4 fights win any, but I mean he's doing his thing, man. I really don't think he cares at this point.
No, he doesn't care. It's only me who wants to see him in easy fights. He doesn't give a shit.
His record is 31-20 and 2 no contest. Holy crap.
Yeah, the guy's been around the block.
Talk about another guy who's been around the block. Our guy, Jim fucking Miller.
I'm excited. And I think
I was excited to see Jim Miller fight. Man.
Eric Chili Pepper, the Ghost Pepper, I fucked up his name, was one of the very first fighters that I've ever interviewed. Back when he was, I'd have to look, would have been around 2019, probably when he fought Rafa Garcia, who's also currently in the UFC, for the Combate title back in 2019. But yeah, love Jim Miller always. Kansas City's own Julian Marquez on this card as well.
Yeah. Fight I'm very excited for it. Manon Fiorot versus Mayra Bueno Silva. Been rescheduled a couple times. So Manon Fiorot, I think she is going to be a contender in the flyweight division. And Mayra Silva, solid. Nate Landwehr versus Ludovic Klein should be absolute fucking bonkers too.
Yeah. Yeah, like so low on name value, but some good action fights going on in this card. I also like Lupi Godinez. Some decent flyweight fights. I always say it, man. Women's flyweight on the way up. Manon Fiorot for sure is one that's like you should be watching her because she's super fun and I think going to be top 5 pretty soon.
I agree with that. Moving on to the Bellator side of things. Bellator, the conclusion of their light heavyweight tournament is not conclusion, but we're going to determine the finalists after this card. In the main event, Vadim Nemkoff taking on our guy that we interviewed, Julius Angliskas. I'm glad that Angliskas got the call up. He was the obviously the alternate of this tournament. It's a shame. We kind of talked about this a couple weeks ago. It's a shame that, for Nemkoff, that Johnson had to pull out of this fight because Nemkoff needs names on his record. The guy is literally one of the best light heavyweights in the world, but you wouldn't know it. I like the style matchup in this one. Iglesias can bang on the feet. Nemkoff has proven to be super well-rounded. Co-main event, Ryan Bader taking on Corey Anderson on the other side of the bracket.
Yeah, I'm into this. Is a good card. I think the main event should be actually pretty good. I think it should be pretty exciting. I think Nemkov, like we've talked about it before, he has quite a bit to lose here against a credible opponent, especially because Julius can wrestle. Nemkov, I think, is probably going to want to try to keep it on the feet. He just has big power. If he feels that, Nemkov is a guy that will also not be afraid to like go to the grappling well. But I don't think it'll be super easy against Angliskas, who has I can't remember his collegiate wrestling background, but the guy is a good wrestler.
Very good wrestler.
I don't have the odds in front of me. Again, I'm sure Angliskas is going to be an underdog here, but should not be written off. It's just hard to pick him against a guy who, like, what, a year and a half ago just put on a hellacious beating on Ryan Bader.
Nemkoff, I don't mean to interrupt you, Ben, but Nemkoff is anywhere from minus 455 to minus 550, with the comeback on Iglesias being plus 380, plus 350, plus 360. So very steep odds.
That's about what I expected, though. I don't know. I mean, anything can happen. They're light heavyweights. The co-main event between Bader and Anderson, I feel like could be a bit of a stinker. We'll see. Ryan Bader all over the place. But when he's on and consistent, I think he probably should beat Corey Anderson, but Corey Anderson has been on the up and up, I feel like, for a couple years now.
Corey Anderson's been really good since coming over to Bellator. Again, like when he was in the UFC, he was kind of labeled as a bit boring, but man, he's had some finishes in Bellator. I think he realizes that this is his time, right? He finished Yagshimeredov in the opening round of the tournament. He also finished Melvin Manhoef, and again, that's not saying much, but at least he's going out there finishing fights with devastating ground and pound. The odds on that fight are pretty damn close to a pick'em. I think in the finals we're going to get Vadim Nemkoff, and I'm going to go with Corey Anderson. I think that he is going to win the wrestling exchanges with Ryan Bader. Bader's chin sometimes is a little bit shaky, so I'm going to go.
Both these guys.
That is true. Then again, I do think Bader has the better power than Corey Anderson, but I'm going to go Corey Anderson versus Vadim Nemkoff in the final.
Yeah, I like Anderson to put together a better game. His chin holds up if he stays out of Bader's power. I think he can knock Bader's chin, and like I said, just generally put together a better game plan of maybe getting a takedown here and there. And Bader's really, really hard to take down, but
he is.
I think so is Corey Anderson. So I'm into that. And yeah, I think Nemkoff probably wins here too. But truthfully, I'd be lying if I said I'm not rooting for Angliscus. The fact that he was on our podcast now fighting for a world title is pretty fucking cool.
Pretty damn cool, man. Really into this Ben Henderson versus Brent Primus fight. Brent Primus was the champion for a little bit. You wouldn't know it because of how he won it, but he seems a bit disgruntled. He had a tough loss to Islam Mamedov in his last fight, taking on the legend Ben Henderson. I want to say this might be Brent Primus's last fight on his contract too, if I'm not mistaken. So this is a big one for him, taking on Ben Henderson, who lost his last two.
Yeah, and did you see Henderson is talking now about retirement soon? I think what the quote was that he's going to beat Brent Primus, then fight for the title and win it, and then retire, which is probably a bit of a stretch. Like he has to get past Brent Primus first, which I don't think is a given at all. But a bit of a legend, yeah. You know, Henderson's for sure at the tail end of his career.
Patricio Pitbull did just vacate the lightweight title, so a win for Ben Henderson with his name. I don't know if he gets him a title shot, but it probably gets him pretty damn close. I would favor Ben Henderson in this fight. I just like his grappling a bit better than Brent Primus's, although Brent Primus is a very good grappler. I don't know how much Ben Henderson has left in the tank, though, to be honest.
Yeah, that's the thing, is he's looked kind of it's people wouldn't believe it from seeing him fight now, but like 2009, 10, 11, 12, that guy was a savage.
One of the best pound fighters.
Was just pure aggression too, like pure, I'm going to fucking big brother you. I'm going to slam you on the mat. I'm going to throw big punches. I'm never going to submit. Like Ben Henderson for that stretch of time, yeah, that I just said was like an action fighter, a really, really entertaining action fighter. And I think old age, some decline in athleticism has changed that quite a bit because, you know, now he's, you know, people don't necessarily always tune in to see him fight. But I don't know. I'm with you that I think this should be a really interesting fight, especially because they'll grapple. I think Primus doesn't mind going off of his back at all. So I think we'll see some jiu-jitsu going on.
Yeah. Oh, big news from Bellator as well. We didn't get to talk about it last week because we were off, but Bellator main event's now going to be 5 rounds, and I really think we need it in the fight between MVP and Douglas Lima. I think we both scored it for Douglas Lima. Again, it was a really close fight, not a lot of action, but man, and again, if that fight was 5 rounds, I think it only would have solidified the win for Douglas Lima. Any thoughts on that fight before we move on?
I just wish there was. I was disappointed too. I mean, a little disappointed in both guys. It felt, for sure, just it ending at 3 rounds felt weird. But even like in the final like 30 seconds or so, minute, was it even 2 minutes? It's been a minute since I watched the fight, but like Lima had, I think, MVP down on the ground and just MVP showing no, like I was like, dude, you're losing. Obviously he wasn't. Apparently he did win the fight, but just no urgency from MVP, just holding Lima's wrists and doing nothing else off of his back other than that. Like I was kind of underwhelmed by the fight. It's quite the, I don't want to say fall from grace for Lima, but it is crazy. Like a year and a half or so ago, I was, pretty high. I was saying Lima's one of the best 2, maybe 3 welterweights in the world, period. And he had trouble pulling the trigger. Again, though, I didn't entirely agree with this decision at all. I know MVP got a couple of like knockdowns.
Yeah, I don't
that
know.
were
I don't
more
even know
pushes.
if those were knockdowns. Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, and that's credit to MVP. He has a style that judges are going to like because he like blitzes in. It's hard to tell what lands and what doesn't. But yeah, I wish that should have been. I wish that was 5 rounds. It felt silly that it was only a 15-minute fight.
Yeah, very strange. So we'll see. Again, like I still don't even think it answers whether MVP is an elite fighter or not. Like I still don't think we have the answer, and I don't think we're ever going to get the answer at this point.
He doesn't seem interested. Like, didn't he say like
he said he doesn't even want to fight for the belt? He wants to fight Lima again. I don't know.
Man, I mean, I guess he would get fucking torched by Yaroslav Amosov.
Absolutely torched.
And I don't have the Bellator rankings in front of me, but anybody that can grapple. I mean, Lima is not really. He's a black belt, right? And he's a good jiu-jitsu player. But anytime you got Lima able to like consistently double leg you and just like sit in your guard, that tells me you're not super, super confident in your ground game. But if MVP doesn't want to fight for a title, if he just wants to be in fun fights, like I'm sure Bellator can oblige.
Yeah, they can set him up with some fun stuff. But again, I don't think it answers the question. Like we want to know if MVP is or not, and I still don't think we have the answer. Unless you have a better read on that, but I truly do not.
I mean, I'm going to sound like a hypocrite because, like I said, it was like a year and a half ago that I was saying Douglas Lima is like the elite welterweight. And now MVP has a win over him, but it's also like,
does he?
This is
like,
yeah. First of all, it was a super, I thought, contentious decision. And second of all, like Lima has not looked like himself very much lately, I should say, the past couple fights.
Well, dude,
how close, sorry to get off topic here, but how close was Lima to recreating the exact fucking knockout?
Dude, if that was crazy. Like he literally knocked him down. He just didn't hit the flesh punch, but very fucking close.
Just like literally our podcast intro, one of my favorite knockouts ever, just about recreated. That was bonkers crazy.
It was crazy. What I was gonna say was, dude, I think I said on this podcast that I thought at a time like the toughest fight for Kamaru Usman was Douglas Lima. Like, and I was pretty confident in that. Obviously, looks like a terrible take right now because I think Douglas Lima has lost something. He's not one of the best welterweights in the world at this point. Like you said, he's kind of afraid to pull the trigger. But I don't know, man. If they want to run it back, let him run it back. But it's got to be 5 rounds.
Yeah, I also felt like, again, I'm biased because I really like Douglas Lima. But like when he was doing his walkouts, I was like, man, they kind of did him dirty. Like a longtime champion has like a decisive win over MVP, and they're making him fight again in London. Like I know why they did it, right? That was a cool atmosphere, like the crowd going bananas for MVP, chanting MVP. All that was cool, but I also couldn't help but thinking like, man, poor Douglas Lima. Like he's taken this fight that he really doesn't need to take. He's doing it in MVP's home country. And then now there's quite honestly a hometown decision. And I don't think judges are necessarily purposely like being biased or anything, but it's hard. Like anytime MVP does anything that looks remotely good, the crowd goes bananas. That's the epitome of a hometown decision, is like human nature. You're going to be swayed and think, oh, something landed. I just missed it.
Very true. All right, let's run down some fights that were announced before we get out of here, because there were some big ones. I think the biggest one by far is we're finally going to get Leon Edwards taking on Jorge Masvidal at UFC 269. I mean, dude, how long ago was it now that we got the 3-piece in Minnesota? It was like, what, over 2 years ago, right? Like,
Yeah.
Again, that was one of those fights that literally presented itself on a silver platter that they did not capitalize on, but we're getting it now. I don't know how much it means at this point. Again, like Leon Edwards on what, a 9-fight win streak at this point. He's kind of playing with fire here, though, man. Because I gotta say, like, I haven't looked at the opening odds. I know Leon Edwards is the favorite, but right now, I think Masvidal beats him. I think the one thing going in Leon Edwards' favor, yes, and I'm going to tell you why. I think the one thing going in Leon Edwards' favor is that it's a 3-round fight, but I do like Masvidal's power against Leon Edwards. I mean, again, we saw him get rocked by Nate Diaz. Nate Diaz might have finished him. We might not even been at this point if Nate did finish him, but I think Masvidal knows that this is probably his last opportunity to rekindle any sort of magic that he lost after getting smoked by Kamaru Usman twice. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Masvidal getting this win, but I like the 3 rounds for Leon Edwards.
Bold pick. You're gonna look like a genius if that does happen. And you're right too that I think a 3-round fight probably favors Masvidal, right? That's what you're saying. I think the shorter.
No. I think the shorter fight favors Leon Edwards.
Okay, because he can kind of.
Again, we saw late in a 5-round fight him get cracked.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I think 3 rounds. If he can work Masvidal against the cage, burn some time, be smart on the feet, I think it favors him. But I think Masvidal catches that chin somewhere within 3.
We'll see. I mean, it's hard. I feel like Leon Edwards, when he's had those 2 fights since he's had that long layoff, he's just so fucking athletic, and he looks more athletic. And I'm with you, as I think. The more that I think about it, I would say 3 rounds probably favors him. You're right, because he can rely on that athleticism to like push Masvidal against the cage,
right?
Which we know Jorge Masvidal will let happen because he's done that a bunch. But yeah, that's the fight that was on a silver platter. Hopefully, they can kind of rekindle some of that beef because I feel like they've lost.
They're going to show that clip 300 million times.
They have to. It's still kind of a shame that it couldn't happen like just a few months after it did.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. Is Leon Edwards officially the BMF if he wins this fight? Because you got to think, if he beats Masvidal and he beats Diaz, like those are the guys in the BMF championship.
No. BMF is more of a vibe than anything else. And Leon Edwards, I'm sure he actually is a very bad motherfucker, just does not give me bad motherfucker.
No. Official, Charles Oliveira, Dustin Poirier, I believe for that same card, right? 269? Not mistaken.
I think so. That's the card that they announced a ton of fights for.
Yeah, 269. Obviously the fight that needed to happen, I think it is the best fight, or one of the best fights that can be made in MMA currently. Just 2 guys that have been around forever. I want to say that I saw a stat that this is the title fight where both contestants have the combined most UFC fights. I mean, the guys, they've been around forever. And I think this is going to prove who obviously the best lightweight in the world is. Sans Khabib, who is retired. I know early pick, you're going to pick Charles Oliveira, right?
Yeah, I've been going that way the whole fucking time.
Let's stick with it. Yeah. I kind of lean Charles Oliveira as well. I think, his grappling, his striking, and the biggest thing for me with Charles Oliveira is he just seems to have the mindset right now. He seems to be able to go into dark waters and come back out alive. So I'm going Charles Oliveira right now, I think, as well.
Also, man, I mean, we got a month or 2 months to talk about this, but like, I feel like very few other champions epitomize like the total package more than Charles Oliveira. Because obviously, right, he has the most submissions, whatever. He's obviously a submission specialist, but
his striking is so good too.
Yeah, he just fucking outstruck Michael Chandler, who's to say he can't do that against Dustin Poirier. In my mind, he is like one of the absolute best. And yeah, I got to ride the Oliveira train.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. Jeff Neal, Santiago Ponzinibbio in the works for UFC 269.
Love
Same
that.
card. Absolutely love that. Sean Strickland is in need of opponent after Luke Rockhold pulls out. I think there's two guys that pop up right away. I think Kevin Holland would be an insanely fun fight. And obviously the guy that always steps up into these middleweight opportunities, although I don't want to see him take it because I want to see him go down to welterweight, and he did acknowledge he should, Kelvin Gastelum.
Yeah, I'm with all that. Kelvin Gastelum would be a great fight for Sean Strickland, even though Gastelum's below him in the rankings. I think, like history wise or big fight wise, Gastelum feels like a step up for Strickland. Yeah. However, I will say I love me some Luke Rockhold, but I am not super surprised that he did not make it to this fight.
Yeah, I'm not either. I do hope that Sean Strickland stays in that card because he has a lot of momentum going.
For sure.
Possibly the biggest one that we haven't talked about yet, Sam Alvey on a 20-fight loser streak taking on Ian Highness. No, I'm kidding. Seriously, though. How the hell does Sam Alvey still have a job and some of these other guys are getting cut and don't have jobs? Come on.
I don't know. I guess he's a company man. I don't know. Who fucking knows?
Brad Riddell, Rafael Fiziev, December 4th. Absolutely love it.
Yeah, that's that's on 269 as well? Or no, that's a different.
No, that's a different card. That's the week before 269.
Great fucking kickboxing match right there.
Great fucking fight. I think we hit everything, man. Anything else you want to touch on before we get out of here?
I've had Junkie up. I think that's it. I mean, just basically sticking to the fights. I'm trying to think if there's anything big going on in jiu-jitsu. Nothing huge right now. We got Gordon Ryan
coming back soon.
Next week in an exhibition. What is that? Sorry, I'm going to go on a rant. Fucking Gordon Ryan. Every jiu-jitsu match is an exhibition. It's not a sanctioned sport. There's no such thing as an official match. Like,
so what does that mean? Is he just gonna he's taking on what's his face?
Philip Rowe.
Yeah, Philip Rowe. What does that mean? He's just gonna take it easy on Philip and let him fucking, put it this way. Gordon Ryan can go out there and submit Philip Rowe in 5 seconds. Now he probably would play with his prey anyways for however long, because that's what Gordon Ryan does. I'm with you. What is it like exhibition? What does that mean?
Well, what they're doing is I think it's 15 minutes. It might be 30 even, but if there's a tap, they just restart on their feet. It's like a roll. Like if you and I were rolling in the gym and you tap me and we just restart, that's how they're treating this.
But so it goes the whole 15 minutes regardless.
No matter what. Yeah. No matter what.
Okay, put it this way. Over under. Philip Rowe gets submitted 7 times.
It depends on what kind of attitude he brings. If he's talking shit, over. But I think Gordon will probably play with his food a lot here, but I think he'll submit him quick, maybe 2 or 3 times in the first few minutes just to show that he can. But also, I just think it's so fucking dumb. He's like, it will not go on my official record. It's like, dude, do you not realize there is no official record? We go to BJJ Heroes, but they're not like Tapology. Like when you have an MMA fight, the state commission reports that to those. To call a jiu-jitsu match an exhibition is like, dude, they're all exhibitions. There is no official record. Like, you're just taking an easy match is all you're doing.
Is that a who's number 1 card?
Yeah, and it's on a Wednesday.
Yeah. Do you know any of the other
there's Mikey Musumeci is against I'm blanking. Richard Alarcon.
That's a good fight, yeah.
There's 2 women's title matches. Louisa Montero. I can pull it up.
Hold up, I got it right here.
Okay. Fionn Davies.
Yeah,
you got it.
Bia Mesquita taking on Louise Montero. That's a good one.
Really good match.
Levy Jones Leary taking on Oliver Taza.
That's the one that I'm most excited for. Not to get too into jiu-jitsu here, but that guy, Levi Jones Leary, he apparently had not competed in Nogi purple belt and just did Nogi Worlds, like his first time competing in Nogi for years. And he looked pretty he lost his first match, but he looked pretty fucking good. And Oliver Taza just won European trials. So both those guys
very good, especially getting to the legs. So we'll see. Yeah, that's a good card.
But Levi Jones Leary is a Berimbolo style back taker. Like it'd be leg entries versus back takes over and over and over again, I think. we'll see.
Should be a lot of fun. And listen, jiu-jitsu is popping off. They are doing
Big
some
time.
big things right now. A lot of fun.
For sure.
All right, dude. I think we hit it all. Guys, enjoy the fights this weekend. We'll talk to y'all soon. Please follow us. Listen to the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. Spotify, iTunes, where are we? YouTube, SoundCloud. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm blanking here, but please hit us with a follow. We appreciate it. We'll talk to y'all soon.
Face the pain.